going on, world? It's yours truly, Mazi Mutafa, here for day 2 of the second annual Alternative Winter Break. And this whole week is dedicated to interviewing media makers, people who are publishing, creating podcasts, doing their thing on social media. And I'm personally super excited for today's guest. I'm going to be talking to one of the DMV's most amazing DJs. So amazing, in fact, she was in the bubble with the WNBA last year, and is still doing her thing with various teams here in the DMV. DJ Heat, welcome to the program.
Hello, Mazi. Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm so excited.
No doubt. I mean, our relationship goes back a long way, but our primary connection was one of your good DJ mentors, DJ RBI.
Yes.
Who was literally our very first teacher, still with us today, and actually just got promoted to become our director of projects and events, which means all the things we do that are not our after school program or our journal, RBI is going to be, put in the hands of God on that.
I'm so happy for him, man. So proud of that, brother.
No doubt. Well, so I've been doing the series of interviews for now. This is now the second year, and this is the second day. And I love to kind of frame conversations around people's histories. And to be very honest, it's a selfish effort on my part, because I know a lot of people don't know a lot about them. And I feel like part of that is because usually when people get interviewed, they're not necessarily talking about their family or their own history beyond their particular form of art. So the question I start off every interview with is the same, which is, can you tell me how far back you can trace your lineage? Who is the oldest ancestor that you are aware of?
The oldest ancestor that I am aware of is probably my great grandmother, which would be my maternal grandmother's mom. And that's only, I'm aware of that because growing up, like I was raised by like my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt. My grandmother's no longer living, but my grandmother and my aunt always talked about her, which is like I said, my grandmother's mother a lot. And I remember them having the pictures up, and even, the old photo album that gets handed down in family. So that's probably about as far as I could go, which if you think about it, that's not too far back.
Well, do you know her name or know anything about her, like the life she lived?
They going to beat me up if my aunt is watching this right now. Is it Maggie Simpson? And I'm not joking, like a Simpsons character. Like I think her name was like Maggie Simpson. Dang, man, my aunt gonna see this and kick me.
It's all good. I mean, part of the reason why I ask is just because in America, like the idea of knowing your lineage is not common really for a lot of people.
No. And I think about that a lot with myself because I never met my father, so I don't know anything about my father's side of my family. Like the most that I know is everything from my mother and my grandmother's side of things. That I know that my grandmother and my aunt and my late uncle, which is my grandmother's kids, they moved up here from South Carolina. So I remember going to South Carolina as a kid. But it's an interesting dynamic with my family because my mom has a different father from my aunt. It's from her sister and brother. So that makes it even more unique for me. So I don't even know much about my mother's father side of things. He died when I was like in 3rd grade. The little that I do know is that he was from like Charlottesville, Virginia. And since I'm an only child and older now, I think about like, I'm like the last one when it comes to like my mom's lineage, because she didn't have no more kids. I'm like, this last name really stops with me. I'm like, I need to do some more research because I literally have like nothing else left after me. Which is wild. So yeah, I always think about it.
Well, so let's talk. Let's stick back in kind of your past, but let's bring it to you. Let's talk about do you remember your earliest creative expression? And that's a broad question. Not necessarily DJing, but like your earliest memory of doing something creative.
was a kid, before I got into music, I used to draw a lot, like a lot. That I drew so much that my family did think I was going to grow up to be an artist
Hmm.
or something along in the arts, because I used to just draw on everything. Just I just couldn't help it. I just like, just give me pens, paper, crayons. This, I'm just drawing on every single thing I think of. Like my favorite subject in school, the elementary school, was of course art class, and I always do things differently to express myself through art. Like so this is a funny early memory. I remember when our art teacher told everybody, okay, we're going to draw a butterfly. I drew a caterpillar instead. I had him saying I haven't developed yet. so so he said,
You said I'm gonna be out the box from the very beginning.
from the very beginning, man. So yeah.
How old were you like when you remember yourself drawing on everything? Is that
Yeah, it's very young memories. I definitely uh kindergarten. I could say, yeah, kindergarten, preschool age, just drawing on everything.
what was it? If you can remember, what motivated you to want to do that? Was it cartoons? Was it
I
school?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I think, again, I was raised the only child, and being the only child, we just express ourselves in whatever way we can. Maybe it started from my mother just saying, "Here, like, occupy yourself," or something like that. But yeah, it was like drawing and reading. Like, I couldn't get enough of reading. I couldn't get enough of drawing on stuff. So I guess I call it like only child syndrome. I just had to like take out my energy some type of way, since I ain't have any siblings, and my mom was a single mom. So if she's at work, then I'm with my grandmother. My grandmother probably really didn't want to be bothered with me. She probably like, yeah, go sit down, read a book, draw.
Are there memories of playing with cousins or other people who might have been artistic in your family?
um Not that many memories with playing cousins. It was, I could say things were tighter knit when I was younger with my family. So we did used to do, have the gatherings and all that. But one thing that happened, and I think, a lot of Black families be guilty of this, is when the elders start passing away, how we don't maintain that closeness. So with a lot of us, with all of our elders that were the ones, all these different matriarchs that were always having their gatherings and stuff. A lot of those elders, they passed away when I was younger. So, but I do have, like, slight memories, like, Christmas visiting and stuff. But yeah, once the elders in our family started passing away, I can say sadly, things didn't become as tight as before.
Hmm. I can totally relate. I was literally I'm Muslim, but my family's
Mhm.
Christian and celebrates Christmas, and so one of the things that's happened as elders have passed away is I haven't got the family hasn't gathered because the younger
Mhm.
ones didn't maintain that tradition of gathering for holidays, and
Mhm.
so it's been interesting to just kind of become the elders in the family and not necessarily maintain those practices. I'm curious, as you continue to get older, you talk about being inspired to draw as early as kindergarten. Are there teachers or experiences that you have as you start to go through elementary school or middle school, people that you remember who encourage your creativity, even if it
Mhm.
wasn't drawing, just encouraged your creativity?
Yeah, one teacher that stands out is my high school teacher that I had for my homeroom teacher all through high school. I went to McKinley Tech in Northeast DC, which is the old McKinley, because I was part of that last class that graduated when they closed down in '97, and it reopened down the line. It's a whole different McKinley Tech now. But Miss Quick, my homeroom teacher, throughout my years at McKinley Tech, she was an amazing teacher. Um, she's retired now, but she definitely encouraged me and a lot of the teachers, because I was in the communications program at McKinley. Like, I went to McKinley Tech specifically because they had a communications program. Like, my neighborhood school should have been Eastern, but with DC public schools, if they have, if the schools have a special program, you could go to a high school that's outside of your zone. So, I, even though I grew up in Southeast, living in Southeast, caught the bus all the way to McKinley Tech, every day because of the communications program. So I could say all the teachers that were in the communications program at McKinley Tech, they definitely encouraged me, and I think they could see how serious I was about things because ever since I was, like younger, I always kept saying I want to be a DJ, I want to be on the radio, I want to be a DJ, I want to be on the radio. So these teachers, they're seeing that and connecting me, making me aware of programs, the opportunities, so they definitely helped lay the foundation.
So you decided you wanted to go to a technical high school and study
Mhm.
communications, and you knew before high school, you knew in middle school, like I want to be a DJ and I want to be on the.
Mhm.
What inspired that?
Um, so when it comes to being the radio, more so the personality side of things, we wanting to talk on the radio. I just enjoyed listening to the radio, and at the time, that's when Donnie Simpson he had his morning show. I think he was on WKYS at the time, and I just really enjoyed listening to it. It's like, oh man, like I want to do this. What Donnie is doing, and even what Donnie Simpson still continues to do to his day. He there's just his personality and his ways of talking to people and telling stories, and his genuine relationships, and you could just still hear his genuine excitement to this day about music. I was like, yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. Now, as far as the actual DJing side of things with turntables, the thing that influenced me with that, it's funny, it's the Rex and Effect Rump Shaker remix because it had scratching on it.
Mhm.
So I used to mimic that part every time it would come on the radio with when the DJ part would come on the Rex and Effects Rump Shaker remix. I was like, oh man, I want to do this. Like I'm enjoying pretending that I'm DJing, but I'm like, no, I really want to do this. So those are the two influences right there when it comes to like my radio side of things and also my actual, turntable DJ side of things.
So I'm curious because I actually don't know. I don't know too much about McKinley Tech. What are the kinds of classes you took to actually prepare you for this career at a high school level? This is really interesting because to be
Oh,
honest, whenever I think of the arts, I only think of Duke Ellington, and
right.
so you're telling me, okay, that's cool. Like that's cool for that kind of art, but there's other kinds of art that you can be studying at a different kind of technical school. So what are some of the kinds
Mhm.
of classes you took?
The communications program. I'm not sure if McKinley even has a communications program. I think McKinley is more focused on the STEM side of things. They're really living up to the tech side of things. But when I was a student at McKinley Tech, the communications program, I took radio production, I took TV production, had journalism classes. So
Hmm.
uh, like each year, it was like different levels. So shout out to my English and my journalism teachers. Like I still remember in journalism class, it's the first time I ever wrote an album review.
Oh, wow.
TV production class. Even though I'm always was the type that's like, I don't care that much about TV, I just be on the radio. But you still gonna have to take these classes. So, but it was cool because I got to do things like learn how to use the camera and film different stuff. And at one point, I was filming like football games, you know, for the school. And what else? Of course, the radio production class that was definitely key for me. Our radio station got built my senior year, so to have like that in-house right there, like wow, our high school we have a radio station. Like this is so cool. Like this is something you only see like on like the teen movies and the teen shows on television on Saturday mornings and stuff like that. So for us to have a actual radio station, and we had partnered up at the time with WETA. So I remember a whole summer program where we really learned like the ins and out of radio production and put together like an actual show, and the old school way of editing of slicing the reel and then taping it back together and editing. Listen, if you haven't edited on a reel to reel, my gosh, you haven't edited.
So before we move on to college, I'm curious. So I was talking to the group yesterday about the challenges of being in a school where your your creativity isn't necessarily celebrated by your peers. So
Mhm.
going to a technical high school, you're literally surrounded by a whole community of people who, just like you, want to do this kind of technical. How was being around people that were like-minded or like ambitioned?
Mhm.
How do you think that impacted your experience as a student?
Oh man, I didn't even thought about that before. I, it was it was definitely great because I remember my group of friends that I hung out with there. We was all part of the communications program, and it's funny. Like at McKinley at the time, you know, the communications program was like a small niche in itself at the school because I think I still think of McKinley of it was just a regular high school. It just happened to have this program, so we was just known as like the communication kids, and you also and the other faction of the school was the ROTC kids. So we was looked at, I guess, like them kids as all right, y'all know what y'all want to do. Y'all did communications, or the ROTC kids they doing that, but to have a bunch of like-minded friends, and like I said, the greatest thing is having teachers that encouraged it, because I was like lunch break, like me and my small group of friends, we would still just hang out in the classroom, or even when they reached a point where after school, you know, we wouldn't want to go home. We would just hang out still in the school and help out the teachers. And the teachers encouraged that, like especially when, started working on a yearbook or started working on, the school newspaper and stuff like that. And I really, really, really applaud the teachers in that program that saw that with us. Like they didn't, kick us out because we wanted to hang out in the classroom at lunchtime, or they didn't kick us out if we wanted to hang out after school in the classroom a little bit longer, because they knew like, okay, these kids are doing something productive. It's it's crazier things that they could be doing.
Right.
This is DC in the 90s, so it's way crazier things that we could have been doing, but we're there being productive and coming up with cool stuff. If we wanted to shoot something in the TV studio, as long as the teacher reviewed it, all right, y'all don't break nothing, cool. If you want to come up with something that we did and to do in the radio studio, which, yeah, my teachers, I remember recording, me and my friends would record parody songs in the radio station and just use all the equipment and make funny parody songs and stuff, like as long as we was doing something productive. So
So, since McKinley was a technical high school, and I understand it was before the current iteration, what kind
mhm.
of support did you have to decide to go to Morgan? Like, what kind of support was there in the school or in your family that encouraged you to pursue a degree?
With my family, my mom always knew since I was younger that she knew I was focused. Well, my family, period. They knew that I wanted to go to college, and then they knew definitely I wanted to go to HBCU. So my mom was always encouraging that, and if there were college fairs in town, she would make sure I go to college fairs. If she saw anything, like if she's out saw a magazine talking about HBCUs, or those top college lists and all that, she would bring me the magazines and books with that. So my family has always been very encouraging, and even at McKinley Tech, they was definitely encouraging, because McKinley, that last year I was there, so many things happened, and I don't want to focus on the negative, but it was so many different things that happened during my senior year that made the news. Um, so with our teachers, when you're in a school that that's getting a bad rap, and the teachers see students that stand out and that are really focused despite all the distractions that's happening in the school, or could be happening in their neighborhood in general once they leave the school and back home, or problems in the household, the teachers are definitely going to encourage and make sure that the students do the best. So I was always in the counselor's office, and making sure I'm filling out my applications. And once me and my friends that was going to college, once we found out about fee waivers so we wouldn't have to pay for these application fees for applying. Oh, we was always in the counselor office like, hey, we need a fee waiver because I'm applying to this, I'm applying to that. Can we get a fee waiver, please? Because we don't got the money to pay for all these applying to colleges. So, I didn't even know that much. Like I gotta turn in a fee to apply for college. Like, psh. we're going to the counselor's office, fee waiver. So, it was all very encouraging. I was blessed enough that McKinley, pitched in with some scholarship money as well. I was one of the students that got a scholarship. Even it was minimal, but every amount helps. So, McKinley, I think what was it? They gave me like $1,000, to help out towards college.
What was it? What was it that had you, for folks that are considering college and haven't decided what kind of school they want to go to? What was it that had you motivated from a young age to want to go to a HBCU?
I don't know. You know what? Probably, a different world effect. We can't deny how much the TV show A Different World really, 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 influenced us in a positive way to take a look at HBCUs and wanting to go to HBCUs. A lot of us thought for a long time Hillman was a real college. I remember even looking on the list of HBCUs. I'm like, how could they never have Hillman listed? I'm like, I can't apply to Hillman. That was probably part of the influence right there. And then, of course, growing up in DC, and Howard was always a powerhouse. So it just growing up in a city that already had that much HBCU pride, because, you're hearing about Howard. Of course, you used to always hear about Hampton. So, and then once I started doing my own research and learning about how many different HBCUs there are across the country. And then for me, from there, it went into, okay, let me do even more research. What HBCUs have the program that I want to major in. So that's what it came down to.
Did you wind up DJing at the radio station at Morgan?
I didn't. I wasn't the best at the time. I ain't gonna lie. I did meet with them at one point. I turned in a little demo and whatnot. But listen, as a DJ, as far as long as I come, you can't lie about coming up experiences and be like, yeah, I was hot and this. Nah, it didn't happen there. So, but I understand why.
So when do you actually get your first opportunity to DJ on a radio station?
My first opportunity to DJ on radio was I can't even remember what year it probably was. I know it was at WPGC, because my first radio job was at WPGC. I had got an internship there while I was at Morgan. I got hired not long after. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been maybe 2010-ish or something like that. It's awful. I'm the worst radio person when it comes to keeping track of dates, because I see all my other radio colleagues, they know the anniversary of when they did this on the radio and that. I'm like, I have no clue, but I do remember the experience. They finally gave me a shot. It's like, yeah, Heat DJ on the radio. And I remember, I think who was the on-air personality? It was either DJ Flex or DJ Rico. And they had people call up and show me love and give me encouragement. I thought that was so cool. Like one of the coolest things, like no pun intended, like DJ Cool called up to the station and did a shout out for me, just showing love and encouragement at the time, because it had been a while since there was a female DJ on the station. So that was pretty cool.
Before you got on air, you said you got an internship while you were at Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you know what an internship is, and I know what an internship is, but some of the young people watching might be like, what's an internship? And what did you do?
Internship and what else?
And what did you do as an intern?
Okay, so internship, I know the definition has changed now, because I see the debates all the time about paid versus unpaid when it comes to interns. So I come from that different era where I was an unpaid intern, but I did earn college credit. So being an intern is almost, I guess you could call it almost like being an apprentice or whatnot. So I applied because WPGC was always my dream job coming up. So when I finally got the chance to apply to be an intern, which I think one of the requirements is you had to be a junior. in college. So, I was counting down the years, like all my life, like, all right, wait till I become a junior in college. I can finally apply for the position. I got interviewed up there, and shout out to the woman who interviewed me. She's now one of the most powerful women in radio, with iHeart. Her name is Thea Mitchum. And I think the new Double XL cover that's coming out with all the power players, she's on the cover. She's one of the women on the cover, Thea Mitchum. She amazing. So she was like the assistant program director at WPGC at the time. And when she had her interview with me, she's getting to know me. And I was so much into like, yeah, I love this. And the thing that stood out to her about who she placed me with, she was like, you know what? Since you really love hip hop and rap, blah, blah, I think you'll be a good fit with Tigger. So she placed me with Big Tigger as Tigger's intern. Tigger was on in evenings at the time, the 6 to 10 p.m. slot. And the cool thing about WPGC at the time is that's also when BET was still based in DC. So I'm not only working with Tigger on WPGC, but this is Tigger Rap City. And not only is it Donnie Simpson in the morning, but this is Donnie Simpson Video Soul. And not only did we just have, a Demu in the afternoon, this is a Demu that's on Teen Summit. Like almost half the WPGC lineup was also on the BET lineup. So I had the opportunity not to only learn from, Tigger and everything that he does, but from these other legends there as well, which is so amazing to look back at. It's like, man, this is a heavy lineup, and all these people on TV as well.
It definitely sounds like it was an epic time for kind of culture in DC in terms of media. So you make it onto the air.
Mm-hmm.
Is PGC was that the only station you've been at in DC?
In DC, yes, because currently I'm with 92Q in Baltimore.
Got you. And so at what point do you decide to branch out off the radio and to start DJing basketball games and events? And like, at what point do you step out of radio or leverage radio to get more opportunities?
Yeah. With me, I've always just wanted to grow my name as a DJ as much as possible. I was always out networking, and networking is key for me because I'm like, I want to get into these different doors right here. Like, I've never been one that's into like the club scene like that. I've always wanted to get into like different types of events and this. And so when it comes to sports though, I've always been a huge sports fan, especially DC sports. I'm DC girl through and through. I'm going to love my DC sports teams no matter what. So when it comes to getting into where my first step in the door was with the Washington Mystics. So it's wild at WPGC. I think this was probably like in 2011, maybe. And one of our co-workers there at the station, she told me that the Mystics were looking for a DJ. And it might have came up that they wanted a female DJ. So they conducted me. I had the interview. And again, I could say, like going back to where you said, like, did I work at the radio station at Morgan? I was like, nah, I wasn't good. So at the time of that interview with the Mystics, I'm like, looking back, oh, I know. Nah, I wasn't good. So that's why I didn't get the job, because it was things that they was asking. I had my career, I hadn't done enough. I haven't had enough experience with stuff at that point where I could get that job. So the job actually ended up going to another DJ at the station. Shout out to DJ Jealousy. And Jealousy still works with the company as well. And Jealousy had told me, it's like, oh man, Heat, if I knew that they was interviewing you as well, I would tell them to go with you. I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. So that was like the first time I ended up applying for the Mystics position. I would go on to apply for the job like 3 more times. And like each time it's funny, each time it came from somebody else letting me know that the job was open. Like I think so I remember posting it at one point how many times I applied. I think it was like 2011, it was like 2013, and like 14, 15, like then 2017 comes along and I'm being asked again, like, yo, he like you should apply for this position. Like, man, you know how many times I'm gonna apply to be the DJ? Like, he's like, nah, do it again. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm like, all right. So this time, the 500th time is the charm. But I also know at this point, when you look at me in 2011 versus me in 2017, that I have gained a lot more experience as a DJ. Like I'm more grounded, I'm more well-rounded as a DJ in all aspects of things. So when it came time where I got that email back to come in for the auditions, and then when I came in for auditions, and then to get, saying that I got the job, it's all in divine timing, but it's all in knowing that you are in fact ready, and just continue to be prepared. Imagine if I would have gave up after that first time I applied. Like I said, I think it was like 2011 or something like that. So after overall 6 years for me to finally get one of my dream jobs, but it finally happened.
I love the fact that your story is rooted in dreams and realizing those dreams, and not overnight, not instantly, and also to a degree, a level of humility, recognizing that you need more preparation for some of those dreams to become reality. I'm curious, especially for people that are hiring and or young girls or women that are thinking about moving into fields like DJing or radio broadcast. What are some of the pluses of being a woman in these industries, and what are some of the challenges?
Some of the pluses, you're definitely going to stand out, since there are not that many women in certain positions in the industry. And as I get more into sports, like I see that more and more, like, yo, we need more women in this position. We need more women in that position. Like even with me, like there are only 3 female DJs in the entire NBA.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So and with the WNBA as well, they're not that many. I see more teams in the WNBA have started adopting not adopting, but you'd be surprised how a lot of teams didn't have DJs, but I'm seeing that more and more. So that's one of the, I guess you can see, like I said, I named a pro and a con about it. You want to stand out because you are a woman, but kind of like there needs to be more in the industry. And I hope that, more women that love sports or, love the entertainment industry, they start looking into all the different positions that are available. For it. Like one of the coolest hashtags, shout out, I stay on TikTok a lot. So the hashtag women in sports on TikTok, you come across women do a lot of different positions. I came across the clock operator that does games for George Mason, and she does some clock operating at Capital One Arena for the different teams, and she shows the day of life of what she does as the clock operator, which is a career that a lot of people probably would have never thought of.
Right.
But she's great at what she does, so she could really travel and move up in ranks as well, being the clock operator and managing stats. Like it's so many different positions in sports that you wouldn't even believe. So for women and even guys, if you could be like me, where you love sports but you suck at playing them, you can still find so many different careers in sports. And also on the flip side, for anybody that is, your goal is to work professionally as maybe an athlete. They always tell athletes, have a backup plan, because you don't want to wish injuries on no one. We don't want to wish not getting drafted or going pro to anyone, but just have that backup plan. And if you love sports, I mean, we see how many people end up being sports announcers, all these former athletes that end up being sports announcers. But think about everybody that's behind the scenes as well, and you can still be next to your love of sports.
Well, speaking of behind the scenes, we've actually got two other folks backstage. I want to bring them out. One of which is Serena Monet Lewis, who is the director of our after school program. And yes, I did drop the full name.
Every time.
And as soon as she turns her camera back on, I want to bring Ashira back on. Oh, there she is. Ashira is one of the students in the academy, and they've both come here to ask additional questions, especially about things that maybe I didn't cover. Ashira, you're muted, by the way, too.
Sorry. DJ Heat, I really want to say I love that you still stuck to sports. I actually went to law school wanting to be a sports agent. Nice. And lived out in Cali for a little bit doing some of that work. But life took me another way, and now I give my time to the babies and people like Ashira and WBL, which is totally fine. I love it. But I love that you stuck close to that dream. You also mentioned that you didn't get this job so many times, right? Like, what kept you going? Like, how do you pick yourself back up and do it again?
I think what kept me going is the encouragement I got from others, you know, and it's always great to have people in your corner. Cause like I said, literally every time I was told about the opening for a DJ, it came from somebody else who just believed like I can do it. Like I think like I said, I applied like 4 different times. I think each time it really was like 4 different people that told me you should do this. And I knew I wanted to do it, but like I said, that frustration came along. But I was like, you know, I'm gonna do this anyway, because you never know. And like I said, I felt more prepared during the years. As I look back at each time I applied, I was like, nah, I wasn't ready this year. I wasn't ready. But that 2017 that ended up becoming, you know, finally that moment that I could see why.
That's awesome. And that's an awesome lesson for everybody, right? To like keep going if this is something you truly believe in, because others don't really have to believe in your dream. You have to believe in your dream. You know what I mean? And want to put that time and work into it. Ashira, I know you have a question that I think DJ Heat is going to have near and dear to her heart about HBCUs.
So I'm currently looking at just like one HBCU because they're a little intimidating to me because I go to Duke Ellington actually. So like when you were talking about tech and everything like that, I kind of felt like that connection where it seems like it's just such a different school when it's honestly it's just a regular school with different programs. So my question would be like choosing Morgan State and everything. Why was going to an HBCU important to you in terms of your stability and your career as well?
Man, HBCU was very, 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 very important to me because I think ever since I was, you know, younger, I've always been like unapologetically Black, as they say. And I just love the culture from everything that I would see. Like you said, like I mentioned before at the time, you know, it was a different world. But then even in there was a period of time in hip hop videos where people were shooting their videos at HBCUs, or you had people, you know, stepping and all that, and just everything about the culture of going to an HBCU, and also with the knowledge that I knew that I was going to get. That some things, you know, you're not going to get at a PWI. You know, I think my high school teacher that I mentioned earlier before, Miss Quick, she was very unapologetically Black as well, which is rare to get, I know, in high schools, and especially, you know, just as a teenager period. But she was so about teaching us about our history and our culture, and I wanted to continue with that, you know, just the eye openings, you know, to have these history classes at Morgan, you know, where they telling me to read books that they're definitely not going to suggest some of these books they wanted us to read, or some of the lessons and whatnot. But aside from that, whatever you decide to major in, I say this to you, of course, do your research on that as well, because that's always going to be the key. Because you could like a college all you want, but if you already focus and pinpoint it on what it is that you want to major in, definitely make sure that that college has a program. Because there were colleges I was interested in, I was like, they just don't have that program that I want to do. And you're going to end up wasting your time. You don't want to end up going to a college just because you like it so much, but they don't have your program, and you try to tailor something and it's just not going to happen. You end up being a transfer, and then you got to, and all that goes on with trying to transfer credits. So that was the thing for me. And I think I ended up narrowing things down to 4 different colleges, because they had the program I wanted. One college my teacher begged me not to go to. I was like, okay, I won't go to this college. But that college ended up having some trouble and making headlines, so she already knew.
That's great. So, we have, I'm the academy director for WBL, like Mazi mentioned, and we're over here trying to, cultivate these young artists like Ashira. How do we help our young DJ students? How do we get more DJ heats and, all of these greats that are within the community? Like, how do we continue to uplift and empower them and cultivate the skill levels that they need to be successful?
Continue to do what y'all doing, man. Like, listen, I know that sounds very cliche and things to say, but continue doing what y'all doing. I've seen the work that y'all done. Like I said, me and Mazi, like he mentioned, we go way back. I see how hard he works with getting things out there, and throughout the years, to see how Words, Beats, and Life has grown so much since when I remember. Just keep pressing forward. Anytime you need to reach out to me. Like if y'all need any help, assistance, or anything, I can say it for myself. I'm here.
No, I got it.
Listen, don't hesitate to hit me up. I am here for y'all. And just keep showing the dopeness that y'all do, especially if when you mentioned with DJing, how the interest in DJing is skyrocketing.
If you're from DC, let me know which version you rock with most.
Oh, you're looking at my TikTok. That's weird.
My bad. I was trying to bring it up so you could see it after. I wasn't even trying to interrupt you.
I'm looking at my TikTok. But what was I saying? Well, yeah, the interest in DJing is skyrocketing so much with the young people that I'm sure y'all probably starting to get like an influx. I recommend Beats in Life to people as much as I can, because folks ask me like, do you teach DJing? I'm like, nah, I don't. If you did, let me tell you about this program where
yes, thank you for the plugs.
I do it because I'm an awful teacher, but I'm going to tell people, listen, let me tell you about Words, Beats in Life, and it's all about different elements as well. Yeah, you're going to learn all the different elements. Get educated.
Well, the surprise element has been taken out of what I was pulling up here, because listen, I'm not the tech person in the back. Clearly, these are not my strong suits here, but I wanted to show this, right? So Mazi had shared with me over the summer some of your videos, and the funny thing is that I'm not originally from the DMV area. I'm from New York. So I was kind of just getting into the scene, and a bunch of my friends had sent me your videos, right? Like, this is so cool. This is so cool. And then Mazi sent it. And I was just wondering, like, how did you, well, first let me play it, but how did you come up with this idea, right? And did you expect for it to be this this popular, like going viral and stuff? Because this one has like 8,000 views. Like it's wild.
And those are IG views. TikTok is
right. This is just an IG.
Yeah.
If you're from DC, let me know which version you rock with most. Be honest.
With all my heart, I love you, baby. Stay with me, and you will see my eyes.
Or do you prefer the go-go version by Junkyard?
All right. always love you, baby. Never leave her. All right, never leave. Well, keep it coming.
Man.
Yeah, so like when you did that, like one, how'd you come up with that idea? And two, like, did you expect it to be what it became? Because I'm just looking at IG, like you said, like TikTok is wildly like the numbers are even amazingly large. Like, how did you come up with this?
I don't know, man. I think like most people, so of course during the pandemic, I was one of those people that had downloaded TikTok and just scrolling, looking at videos and just laughing at the time, like, oh, ha ha ha, these videos are funny. I actually didn't post my first TikTok video until this year. And I had only started posting TikToks is because the Wizards were going to do a feature with us on TikTok. So I was like, dang, I need to have stuff on TikTok because we're going to get tagged in the Wizards TikTok. So we need to have content up. So I was just doing anything. I'm just doing, like the silly challenges and stuff like that on TikTok. But it's stuck in my head. Like maybe I should do like some DJ stuff. So something I came up with was like, okay, maybe, all right. So with DC people and go-go lovers, sometimes we love a go-go version of a song way more than we love the original. So the first one I ever posted was Hello, Adele's Hello. So it started off with saying with the thing being called songs that DC people love more than the original. That's where I originally started to see. So that was like back in May. So my first go-go TikTok was actually back in May of this year when I started with posting like, people in DC love the backyard band version of Hello more than they love, the Adele version. And of course, Rare Essence Pieces, they love it more than Ashley Simpson. And I was like, when I saw like how the views started taking off, I was like, wow. So it made me, post others and people would give suggestions. So, and it became so funny because once I started diving deeper into other songs, a lot of folks didn't even know that they were remakes. And that's what happens in DC. Like I played the original version, like the one that is two of them that get the biggest responses that people had no clue and they thought they were original go-go songs. One of them is Wyclef. He had to keep it gangster. And everybody knows the Backyard Band version. People had no clue that was a Wyclef song until I played it. And the other one is the singer, I believe her name is Sean Trail, T-shirt. And again, that's another Backyard Band song. People had no clue. They was like, what? Blah, blah, blah. But did I have any idea? No, I didn't until things started getting. It's when the Washingtonian magazine reached out to me after only doing this for like a couple of months and to be named one of Washington, D.C.'s top TikTok stars. Where literally I only started doing this in May. It's no clue. So the mission now, I've been changing it up a little. Like if you look at the earlier ones, it was different, and you see how I've done it with the Anita Baker one, and I spaced it out a little bit more because I think I was just riding that wave at first, like, oh, I got posted it now, like. So, but it's cool. I still have a lot more ideas and stuff with it because I don't want to get stale. I don't want to run this course, and I also have ideas about other type of DJ type TikToks because I don't love DC, love go-go, but I want to show my diversity as a DJ as well that other people know because it's crazy. A TikTok audience is different from other audiences because there's people on TikTok that never heard of me until TikTok. Like I go out and get recognized from TikTok.
That's awesome. That's also like, crazy, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I've been DJing in DC all these years, and you just never heard of me.
Yeah, right. And this is what it took.
This is what it took. Like, it's really wild to go out and be recognized because of TikTok.
Yeah, the whole people not realizing that these are regular songs or like there's a original and the Go-Go's a remake is a normal conversation in my household because my partner is from DC and he's like, "What? Why aren't you playing the Go-Go version?" I'm like, "Because that's not the original. Like this is what I want to hear." But
DC people do not care. They want the Go-Go version
everything's Go-Go. Everything's Go-Go.
Everything. Go-Go.
And Sherry, you got another question for us?
Yeah, since we're on like the topic of social media and stuff like that, and I'm also like really big when it comes to TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So I have like a question. How did you either maintain or grow, let's say, your Instagram audience? Because I believe that Instagram is a much harder platform to grow from, whether it's your engagement and your reach and stuff like that. Because TikTok is a really, really nice platform for a lot of people to grow. So how did you really grow on a platform such as Instagram? Where when I think of like a DJ, I think of more like behind the scenes, but I know that you have a really big presence on Instagram and stuff like that. So how did you grow that?
I think with me, when it comes to Instagram, is just me being genuine and transparent about stuff. Even though I am a DJ and stuff, like I tend to be very transparent about things that I go through in life. I've been transparent in the past on like in social media and Instagram, telling stories about where I faced eviction, or sharing my dating stories, or recently I just had a major surgery last month, and being open and transparent about that. So I think a lot of my growth has come from that transparency, because I'm gonna say I'm the type of person that, yeah, I'm like seen as this quote unquote personality, or like celebrity, like my friends like to joke and say, but I like to show people that we're still human. Like don't be blinded, because how Instagram people only going to show like they happy moments and like this and that, and everybody wants to look like they're an influencer on Instagram. I'm going to be real. I'm 100% real about everything. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you my cool stuff. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you that I'm doing this sporting event or that sporting event. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you this, that I'm doing this with music, that I'm putting out this song, I'm working with this person. But I think the transparency is what I've seen when it comes to the growth the most, and the usage now of Instagram stories for me when it comes to Instagram. I like actually telling a story with my Instagram stories when I can. So if I'm experiencing something, like especially since I had surgery last month, it's a lot of stories I was able to tell. And I'm the type of person, even though I'm going through something, I'm still gonna have the humor side of things. So yes, okay, I'm going through this at the doctor's office, but I'm being, showing the humorous side of things with it. And I notice, when I tell things as a certain story, like I see the views go up and I see the engagement and go up. So when it comes to just be yourself. I know these algorithms be kicking our butts, and Instagram wants to put so much focus on reels and all that, but just be you, engage with those true people that you with, and it'll come along.
Ashir and Serena, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, I want to ask you just one more question.
Yep.
And it's kind of what's next. So like we see you on social, we've heard the story about radio, we've heard the connections and community and all that good stuff, but like especially what you were just talking about around your recent surgery for fibroids. So like what's next for you? Is it to become an advocate for causes? Or is that just a piece of it? Is it traveling more to DJ for different athletic teams? Like what do you see as like the next 5 years of DJ Heat?
Oh man, the next 5 years of DJ Heat, I'm always going to be an advocate when it comes to my health, and I thank you as well, Mazi, for everything that you've done when it comes to my health journey, when it comes to checking in and everything else. So I'm always going to be an advocate for that, because like I said, I know they have a platform, and I know people are paying attention and bringing awareness to stuff like that. I hope to encourage other women to listen to themselves and listen to their bodies and to get checked out and to get, healing through all. DJ wise, man, next 5 years, listen, I'm trying to be at big stages, big brands. Because I see myself as a brand. Like, the one thing that I tell myself is like, man, I want to be on that D Nice level. We've always been a fan of D Nice. We know his career. Those of us that know D, like I know people got to know D Nice during the
quarantine,
beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, last year. And that's so cool with him because he was just genuinely doing what he likes to do. And you see all the greatness and all his well-deserved accolades that came along with that. Just being humble and doing what wasn't no gimmicks. He's never been a gimmicky type. And it just lets me know that, just keep being you, keep being genuine. This stuff is going to come along. And, I had a friend tell me that with these TikToks, I'm like, maybe it's with these TikToks, look what happened, what came along with you just generally doing these TikToks and stuff. But yeah, just getting on a different level as a DJ brand. And also in sports, I'm currently taking some classes to learn more about the business side of sports, because I do want to keep growing in sports as well. I know I can't DJ forever, but I would like to be in sports industry as long as I can.
For those of you that are still watching or watching later, make sure that you check out DJ Heat's website. That joint is rather impressive. DJHeatBC.com. DJ Heat, thank you so much for your time. We're going to wrap up with a commercial with again one of your friends in DJing, DJ RBI. This is day 2. There's 3 more days of alternative winter break. Tune in tomorrow. DJ Heat, give thanks. Peace.
Thank you, y'all.
Some ideas, they shake you out of your sleep like when a toddler creeps. Totality of the deep, the mere thought of an unconscious manifestation carried out with the beat. Positive charged protons creating neural explosions. Time hiccups when fingers and pads touch. Dead air smiles because it knows what's coming. The countenance of the clock claps hands. The choreography of the knot slaps jams. And you be like, who made this? Vertebrae responding to the call so bad they make a B-girl curve the wall.